Sure.
Assalamualaikum everyone. This is Mentor Tooba. I am the founder, owner, and lead trainer and consultant at On-Time Training and Consultancy Services. So here we are gathered to celebrate the success story of Arslan Bhutta. He has earned his PGMP credential around 10 days ago, and he's here to share his insights, some useful tips and tricks, and the lessons that he has learned on this journey. Before we formally begin the conversation with Arslan, a quick introduction about the company. On-Time Training and Consultancy Services is a professional training and consultancy setup. We are primarily the follower and promoter of PMI credentials, and we accordingly offer the services in this capacity for project program portfolio management related credentials like PMP, PgMP, PFMP, RMP, SAP, and a lot more. I am the lead trainer and consultant at On-Time Training, and I have been fulfilling this role for about 4 to 5 years now. So in this event, we are going to have a conversation with Arslan about what he has learned on his PGMP journey. So Arslan has been our self-paced and one-on-one mentoring delegate at On-Time Training and Consultancy Services. And he's also going to talk about the usefulness of this course for his success. So thank you so much, Arslan, to take out time and to have this conversation with us. We are pretty grateful. Arslan, a quick introduction about yourself. Delegates would like to know about you, and then we will start the conversation.
Okay, thank you for having me, Tuba. Before I answer why I pursued PGMP, I would like to share my, my introduction and my professional journey. So, I've been with the IT tech industry for more than 12 years, and I had been leading the enterprise, SaaS, ERP, and digital transformation initiatives across different verticals such as education tech industry, procurement, AI-enabled solutions. So, with the passage of time, I did my PMP back in 2021, and I think it was the right time to review, in terms of my career and the progression path. So, I believe it was the right time. It was around 5 years, and I was already working on the strategic initiatives, so to speak. So, so that inspired me to take on the PGMP journey because I was already working and managing projects. I work as a project manager, senior project manager. And I think, it was the right time to take on these strategic initiatives because we all, I was working on concurrent programs simultaneously, and those were part of the strategic objectives. So I think this is where I wanted to step up and take on this
Yes,
career path.
I recall that we had this conversation, I think a couple of years back as well, and you formally started around March 2025 or something. Like you took your time
Yeah.
to actually understand that how PGFP will be helpful in your career going forward, and what's the skill set about, how it is different than PMP. We had that long conversation. I still could recall. So now, after that, you have earned it, Arsalan. How do you think this credential could be helpful in your current role or maybe in your prospective roles going forward? So, I at times, not at times, like frequently, I get this feedback from the delegates that these credentials are just a piece of paper and nothing really value added aspects in anybody's portfolio. So, what is your opinion about this?
So regarding the first statement, so me and Tuba, along with the online consultancy services, we have been in touch for quite a while. It goes back to around 2 to 3 years, and I was exploring the PGMP back then. And I had multiple discussions with Tuba, so I took my, sweet time to explore this program. And I think it's a very interesting question, because I feel PMP and PGMP, they complement each other. So PMP helps to deliver projects. This is generally what the project managers do. They want to make sure, they follow the PMI standards and they have that mindset to deliver projects. Whereas PGMP, it helps to deliver the right business outcomes. So, I mean, in terms of delivering the projects, we are doing it, but we also want to know whether there is a strategic alignment, if that has a right business outcomes, whether they are, what is being done regarding the benefit sustainment. And I think this is really a great program and a course in terms of it equips you with the right mindset. Because if you look at the strategic or the executive leadership, they're already working on the programs and they have that mindset. So this is a step up. So PMP, it helps to deliver, and having that mindset and using the PGMP to deliver the programs, I think it just adds another credibility. It's not a piece of paper. I think it gives you proper confidence, similar to PMP. As long as we are PMP certified, we have that mindset. But if we are PGMP certified, we can work with the executive leadership to deliver the program and make sure it has a strategic alignment, it has a benefit realization, and benefits are being sustained. So they complement each other.
Which actually raises a very relevant question that I also get this comment from the
Hmm.
prospective audience of PGMP that why PMP is not a prerequisite, like a mandatory prerequisite requirement by PMI in the eligibility criteria, and um, is it not helpful in the preparation, particularly with respect to the exam, PGMP exam? Or if we do not have our PMP, can we go for PGMP? Or if we are not PMP certified, how difficult it is going to be PGMP certified? I mean, multiple comments similar to this. So you were PMP certified as well, and I think that was a while ago, and now you are PGMP certified as well. So, how would you want to comment on this? That how much of the PMP mindset and that that understanding of PMI perspective in the capacity of project had been helpful in your PGMP exam preparation, particularly?
So I'll address both aspects to the question. So as long as if someone is PMP certified, it is going to help. Because I think most of the core elements are there. For example, we already we're working on stakeholders engagement. That is already there. We had been working on the risk management. The identification process and coming up with the matrix and whatnot. So the core concepts are already there. So we are pretty much familiar in terms of how to manage projects. And when it comes to PGMP, that is it has to be uplifted. It is a broader aspect. So we manage risks on the program level. We want to make sure it has a strategic alignment, whether there is a threshold there. So PMP certainly helps in terms of having the mindset at a project level, and also to some extent at a program level. So it is certainly helpful. But again, if someone hasn't done PMP and they want to pursue PGMP, that is also possible. But in that case, I think Tuba, your course has been designed in such a way that it helps both of the participants, whether you are PMP certified or not. It covers each and everything. That is quite helpful.
Yes, this is correct. We definitely have capped those delegates in our consideration as well while designing the course, who are probably not going to be PMP certified, or maybe they would not have any PMI certification, like as a matter of fact. And if they come to us and they expect the required help from us, then we should be in a position to guide them in the right direction. And yes, in the past, there have been like many such delegates. I would not say one or two. There were many such delegates who
Mm.
actually opted for PGMP without having PMP or any other PMI certification before that, and they were successful. So this is quite a possibility. So the PMI's expectation is not to have a hardcore PMP credential to go for PGMP, but yes, they do have a requirement that you need to have at least 4 years of project management along with the 4 years of program management, and those should not be overlapping years, like 4 years separately for project and 4 years separately for program. With your academic degree, like a bachelor's or master's. With that, you can go for PGMP. So PMP is not a prerequisite, but yes, project management experience is a prerequisite for
Yes.
PGMP credential. Okay, so now a more streamlined conversation with respect to your PGMP exam preparation. Uh, I would like to ask this question that how much time did you actively take to prepare for PGMP, and why I'm asking this question because this is a difficult exam. I would say the most difficult exam offered by PMI so far. And of course, it's like a pain area for many delegates to get ready in the right direction. So maybe some insight from you is going to be very, very helpful.
As I mentioned earlier, I was having discussion back and forth with Tuba, I think around 2 years back. I was just exploring the option in order to do a career advancements. I made up my mind back in December last year that I wanted to pursue PGMP, and I started this course in January. So it took me around, I would say, four months or so. That is dependent on each and every schedule, commitments, your jobs, and your family and whatnot. But generally speaking, I think I took around maybe I think around 120 hours. If depending on the schedule. And I feel it is as long as we understand the PMI standards of the program management, studying the governance, benefit management, stakeholder management, strategic alignment, and all these things, reviewing the practical scenarios that are already present in the mock exams, and I think there are around 1,500 practice questions. And most importantly, I think connecting every concept with the own professional experience, I think it helps. And we shouldn't study PGMP as an academic subject because it is not going to help. PMP, we should have a right mindset. We have that PMP mindset, but I think with the PGMP, we need to have a strategic mindset. We want to think strategically, what needs to be done in terms of benefits and, program governance, things like that. All over, I think it took me around 120 hours along with the mocks, but those hours, they're dependent on personal commitments or how much time you can give. But generally speaking, I think from my own experience, as long as there is an motivation, there's a resilience, and there's an effort involved, I think uh, that is what it matters, and we need to understand things properly.
That's correct. And I really like this point that one should not be taking PGMP or maybe like any credential which is at a more strategic or at a more um, a senior level as an academic exam or like something
Subject.
which you just want to earn or pass without having the
Yeah.
right relevance with your career pursuits. Uh, PGMP is like that skill set which should be opted only when you think that you are in the right role currently, or you are going to be in that respective role maybe in a couple of months, or maybe that is like in your on your roadmap, on your career roadmap. And you definitely need to have the relevant experience, maybe hardcore experience as a program manager, or maybe you need to have that environment or ecosystem around you, which would give you that relevance while studying that how benefits are planned or realized or outcomes are perceived in any organization with a program and the projects under that. So until and unless you don't have that perspective, you probably would be struggling a lot. Probably you would be able to learn. I'm not saying that learning or getting the skill set is not a possibility, but yes, that struggle is going to be there. As long as exam preparation is concerned, we recommend a focused study of around 120 to 150 hours, depending on, of course, multiple factors: experience, skill set, knowledge, understanding of PMI, mindset, your availability, of course, and how much connected you are throughout this journey. Multiple factors come into picture, but minimum 120, maximum 150, depending on multiple factors as described. Um, if a professional want, he may get ready for the exam in 1 month's time as well, or if he wants to delay it or he wants to do it at his own pace, then probably an year or so could be taken as well. So the course offered by us in this regard is flexible in this perspective. However, the recommended time from our side is 2 to 3 months. That's like a good enough time to get ready with your job, family, maybe other business priorities, and different things that usually a person is into. So, along with that, 2 to 3 months is a very good time, right? But it totally depends on your pace, commitment, urgency, and the need to get this certificate. It depends on this as well. Okay, so about the exam itself, Ursula, when you were in the exam room, when you were writing the exam, how was your experience overall? And with this question, I would like you to talk about the time management in the exam, which is a critical factor in PGMP exam. The relevance of the preparation that you have done via our course, how much of that was there in the exam, and anything that you would like to share without compromising the PMI Code of Ethics and Professional Conduct. Yes, please.
Um, okay, so I think I'll be very honest. So regarding the exam, it is quite challenging, but it is in a good way. So I've done the PMP and I've done the PGMP. So having a PMP, you have that right mindset. You understand, what is the why, the reason or the option that you want to select. But I think from the PGMP perspective, you wanna have the understanding on why the correct answer is correct. So I think this is the key factor that needs to be whenever we are selecting an answer, and most of the answer, majority of them, they are going to be they'll seem correct. So they are more likely testing your judgment in terms of why, and how the strategic as a program manager, and having that strategic mindset, you are going to select the reasonable answer. The challenge is identifying which answer best reflects the PMI program management philosophy. Throughout the exam, I think I constantly reminded myself to think as a program manager rather than as a project manager. So I have to think strategically. I had to consider governance. Having the entire because as a program manager, you're managing a program, and there are again. There are certain costs, there are benefit realization involved, there are executive leadership stakeholders involved, there are organizational objectives involved. So it is not simply a project execution. It is an entire program that has a strategic perspective involved. So I think having a right mindset, and like I mentioned earlier, this is not just a piece of paper. Even in organizations, we can see there are a lot of executive leadership they're working, but in order to ensure we take a program that has a strategic alignment associated with the organization, and the cost, the return on investment is going to be valuable. These are, this program is going to help to ensure that you have that right mindset and you can drive that program. So having that mindset and making sure we understand things properly is going to help. Now, exam, I think there are 170 questions, and time management is extremely critical. And I'll be very honest, we cannot spend 5 minutes to think on one question. We barely have probably, I think, a minute and a half or so. And so, as per the time management, I think ideally, this is again my personal opinion, and with the help of Tooba, we had multiple discussions, and I did multiple mocks. So initially, I started off with my mocks without time, and I took a lot of time to answer questions. And then gradually, with the practice, I improved, and I think Tooba, I'm thankful to you for letting me know how to do time management. So I think around first. During the first, I think 50 to 100 questions should be done. First set of 50 questions should be done when we have 180 minutes, and then 51 to 100 questions should be done when we are left with 120 minutes, and the remaining ones can be done in the remaining time. So I think having a breakdown, it helps. It depends on each and every individual how they want to work. Again, this is uh, my personal opinion with how I practice. So having a set target in the exam, and making sure you don't go past that minute. You move on to the next one. You can always flag the question. And I think the other aspect is we don't get any breaks. In PMP exam, we get breaks. I think there are one or two breaks, if I recall correctly. So I remember I had breaks in PMP exam, but in this PGMP exam, there are no breaks. You go and there's a 4 hours window, and you have to do 170 questions. So I think what I did, I used to wash my face. I took 5 minutes of the time. I went 3 times just to wash face, to get a fresh perspective and to continue. So I think this is the key. And have a bottle of water
And one other
during the
thing
exam.
that you are forgetting, Arslan, that the day before the exam, you kept it light. And I am
Yes.
sure that must have been helpful in the exam. So
Yeah.
do you want to talk about it, like briefly?
Yeah, so I had a discussion with Tuba. I think around 3 days before the exam, I was in process of looking the dates, and I think a week before, and 3 days before the exam, I had a discussion. And um, you know, as long as we understand the concept, I think we should go with a fresh mind. So, Tuba, thank you for recommending not to study anything. It's always the best case to have a fresh mind on the last day. So I acted upon your advice. I didn't study anything in the last day, and I think it helped a lot. Even if we can take a day off from work, I think it is helpful. Just stay at home, do whatever you like, have a relaxed mindset, and it really plays well in the exam. We need that.
This is correct because
So
and
yeah,
only this is only an option when you are well prepared a day
yeah,
before the exam. When you are not well prepared, then of course you are supposed to be studying the last
yeah,
day as well. But usually at on-time training, we get our delegates ready in a way that they most of the time, I'm not saying all of the time, all of the cases, but most of the time, our delegates do not study the day before the exam. Rather, they relax, they take their time off with the family, or maybe like they can do anything whatever they want to, but we recommend to have as less screen time as possible so that your brain could conserve that energy which is needed in the exam. And yes, this is also correct that this particular exam that we are talking about, the PGMP one, is pretty exerting. It's not an easy exam with
yeah,
respect to managing your nerves as well. I mean, the skill set is a separate thing, but managing the stress, nerves is also like a real struggle in this exam. So this tactic of keeping the last day lighter, if not fully relaxed, is recommended, right? And this helps whoever comes back from the exam with the good news. They thank us for this advice, that they found it, they always found it like very helpful.
mm,
One other thing is that before the exam, make sure that you uh, have mind mapped, if you have created some mind maps, because every person is different with respect to how they absorb the knowledge and the skill set. So at times people like ask this question, that we have some mind maps with respect to processes and activities and all. Can we, map it somewhere before starting the exam? So yes, you can do that. Before pressing on the start exam button in the exam room, they give you like a lamented sheet, like it's a pile of sheets actually, and they provide you a duster and a temporary marker as well. So you can map whatever you would like to. That could be helpful in answering the questions or recalling some of the aspects. And then you start the exam. This is also a useful advice, and many actually gets benefited with this. So thank you so much, Arslan, for this useful insight. Now I am going to particularly ask about the course that you have opted for from on-time training. So you chose to go for the one-on-one mentoring and self-paced course, and the full one, like including the application services and the full exam prep support and everything included, including the mentoring as well. So what's your opinion on the services provided by us? Anything that you would like to talk about, particularly application support, because delegates usually find the application, especially the panel review, pretty challenging to pass. The mock exams and how useful those were in the exam, and at times this misconception is there that mocks are going to get replicated in the exam. So I would like you to correct this misconception, and also that how mocks can be helpful in the exam, right? And anything that you probably would like to talk about with respect to the on-time speech interviews.
Okay, so I'll address both questions. So first one is regarding the the online training consultancy and the services that I took for my PGMP journey. So I'll be very honest. I think the every successful certification journey benefits from a good mentorship. So as long as there is a good mentor who can guide you and who has the understanding, is going to help, and it's going to go a long way. And mine was no exception, to be very honest. So I think one of the area where the mentorship added a tremendous value was to help translate the years of practical experience into PMI expectation. So this is where the application came in. So many professional experience, professionals, they know how to lead, programs, and they have the experience. But the actual challenge is documenting that experience as per the PMI expectation correctly. And I think, yeah, and in the PGMP, there's a panel review as well. So the guidance I received helped me structure my application, by understanding the PMI perspective and avoiding any common mistakes. I think this is where Tooba online training consultancy, they came in, and they streamlined. So, the online training consultancy, they took my experience, they gave feedback, in terms of what could be improved within my experience that I presented. Again, there won't be any overlapping experience. This is a program experience, but it has to be structured in a way, that is aligned with the PMI expectations. So this is where, the online training consultancy and services came in. They helped me. We also had discussions around governance and some benefits management, things like that. So so I think it helped a lot. In terms of the exam preparation materials and the mock exam, there are around 1,500 questions, mock exams that came as part of the services that I took from the online training consultancy services. Um, they were the mocks, I think they're structured in a way that helps to navigate. It starts with the easier ones first, so each and every so I'll start off with the course, so the entire course that I took, at the end of each and every chapter, so to speak, or the module, it has some practice questions. There are 10 questions, 15 questions, 5 questions. So, just to bring up to the speed, and, that helps to determine whether what we have learned in the module. Once we're done with the module, we have the mock exams. Those are the 1,500 set of questions. And I think that helped a lot. It starts with the easy one, level one. And in level one, we don't only have just one level one. We have, they're subset of those practice questions, even in, I think, level 3 or 4. So, and I think it helped a lot. And reviewing explanations after each and every practice exam became one of the most effective learning activities. So whenever, there's a question wrong, understanding why it was wrong, why did we choose that? I think, that helps to understand where our, mindset was different. And these questions, they are not replicated in the exam. They help you to equip you with the mindset in terms of how how questions could be portrayed or asked. So they only help you to test your knowledge, what we have learned, and how the questions are going to be presented in a situational aspect. So this is, I wanted to clear again. I did the mocks, and I'm saying the exam was quite challenging. So it's not something that we will do once we do the mocks properly, and then we can go ahead and we can pass. I think having the right mindset, understanding not to take it as an academic course, making sure we do the mocks, and if the questions are wrong, we understand why these are wrong, and then move on. I think, and then retry, redo. I think it helps.
And yes, along the way, throughout this journey with you, we had multiple discussions as well to just clarify the concepts. And I really like this particular perspective from your side that you had like a variety of different type of scenarios always while reading a
Yeah.
particular topic or so. And you used to, you never hesitated to ask those. You used to ask those, drop those questions at times on WhatsApp, at times over call, and so. And with those discussions, I always say it this way that discussions are going to be very helpful in clarifying the concepts because maybe you would have everything with you, like you would have the slides and videos and mocks and practice and everything that you need to pass this exam, but it's still this could be challenging because the right perspective at times is missing, and that probably could be bridged only via mentor because
Yeah.
not everything is elaborated that way in the book, the standard by PMI, or even in the mocks as well. Maybe maybe behind the picture, a single question is connecting multiple concepts at the same time,
Yes.
and that discussion with your mentor would be helpful because not everything can be some knowledge is tacit in nature. Not everything can be documented or translated the way we want it to. So the discussions can come very handy, especially for the advanced level mocks. That could be very handy, right? So we really recommend opting for that service. And in my opinion, that's the best part of our service. Not the mocks, not the videos, not the slides, that discussion and the perspective that a mentor can establish. I think that's the best part of our service. So yes, and this is how the course is devised, that the end-to-end journey is covered while we are with you. And every service is everything which is needed, be it application, be it mocks, be it the mindset, or be it samples, templates, everything is provided at the right time. And of course, one other thing is that the delegates want someone to be with them. Maybe they are not going to
Mm.
ask for any help, but they want a support behind them so that they, whenever they feel overwhelmed, whenever they feel, uh, they lack a motivation or anything, they could have uh, like that person to discuss the matter with. So this is the importance of having a mentor on a journey like this. And I believe Arslan must have got benefited with all of this. Okay, Arslan, one other thing that I probably would like to talk about is how do you see the concept of payback or ROI on these investments on the credential?
Um, I think okay, this is this is going to be one of my favorite questions because many people immediately think about the salary and the ROI payback and things like that. I think, in my perspective, salary is one aspect of the ROI or the payback, but I think career growth is more important. I believe the biggest return on investment is the leadership capability. So organizations today are investing millions in, digital transformations, AI, ERP, cloud migrations, and things like that. And these initiatives would require leaders who would contribute to, multiple programs, align executive stakeholders, having a strategic alignment. This is where, PGMP is gonna, come into consideration. So many organizational change, and they want to ensure they deliver measurable business outcomes. And PGMP prepare those professionals exactly for those purposes. So again, as I mentioned, having that mindset, a leadership mindset where you can lead the programs, you can convince the executive stakeholders. So it is automatically do an ROI in terms of the payback on the PGMP investment. So I think, in my opinion, it should be more towards investment in the leadership capability rather than focusing on the ROI or the payback. Personally, the certification has strengthened my confidence with the executive discussions, because as a project manager, you can only see much, you can only do much. Eventually, you will be going to having a discussion with the directors or the executive leadership, and they'll be making a decision in terms of what needs to be done. Whereas the program manager, you will be thinking strategically, what is going to benefit the organization in terms of the strategic alignment. So this is a key difference. And the leadership, they're going to listen to you. So eventually it is going to, you're going to get your return on investment and payback anyway. And those benefits, again, continue to deliver value every day. And in terms of, and they are going to reinforce credibility when, with the leadership when you're leading the enterprise transformation. So I think, this is my opinion, but I think each and every individual is different. So
Everyone's opinion could be different in this regard, but yes, when someone is done with PGMP or like maybe a credential similar to this, like PFMP, one thing definitely may start happening right away, that they start speaking that language. So at times I get this feedback that Tuba, when the benefits are going to start realizing with this credential. So of course I do not have a definite answer for this, because different people may have different constraints, may have different strengths, weaknesses, and may have their own situation, right? Own professional situation. So, but one thing is for sure, the ultimate and proven benefit with these credentials, if they are done in the right manner as per the right PMI's expectation, is like augmented confidence. You will definitely see that happening in your own self, and your confidence, the ability to speak in front of senior management with your colleagues, peers, internal or external to the organization, with your customers, partners. That is definitely going to get better. And this is an intangible one. I know this is not tangible or a commercial one, but I personally believe that the intangible ones are way more powerful than the tangible ones. And actually, tangible ones follow the intangible ones, right? Your reputation gets better, your visibility gets better. And it's not only your confidence, um, the organizations, the leaders' confidence in you also gets better, right? But only if you have acquired this skill set as per the PMI's expectation, as per the marketplace perspective as well, because they are going to they are going to judge you with, like, different in different ways and with different situations and all. And if you understand the right perspective, then definitely you will start getting that visibility, internal or external, to the organization. And this is how the benefit realization process starts for your career, right? So it may happen in a week, it may happen in a month, it may happen even uh, over the span of some months as well, but this is definitely going to happen, right? Um, but of course, different people may have different career perspectives, and accordingly, the benefits are going to realize for you. And of course, the effort should be coming from your side as well, along with this credential, that how you are going to portray and sell out your profile in the market. But yes, this credential and the other credentials as well, I'm not talking only talking about PGMP, but other credentials as well, they definitely increase your celebrity in the market, right? They make you stand out among the crowd in the competitive market. Okay, thank you so much, Arslan, for this useful conversation. I found it really helpful. In the end, would you like to give any advice to the PGMP aspirants or anyone who is considering program management as the next career? Arslan, you're muted.
I'm sorry. Okay, so I would like to leave everyone with, so this is again for the aspirants or the professionals who are considering PGMP as their next career step. So I would like to, give three pieces of advice, to the aspirants. So the first one is pursue the PGMP for growth. It's just not a piece of paper. It's not a credential. The credentials, the certification is valuable because it changes the way you think, about the leadership, as Tuba mentioned, and in terms of governance and organization success, because you'll be dealing with the leadership, primarily, mostly with the leadership, and making sure the project managers who are working with you in the program, they will be coming to you with the issues and all those sort of things, with the updates. So you will be making sure the benefits are there, the realization is there. So just so pursue it as out of passion for the growth. That's one thing. And secondly, respect the application process. Take the time to reflect on the career and clearly articulate the value that you have created through the programs. Don't rush at this stage. Make sure you document everything properly. Your experience is there, it is reflected as part of the application process. And finally, just connect everything that you study with your own professional experience. Don't We shouldn't memorize the framework, and or just think about the real situations, real scenarios where you will be managing the executive leadership, executive stakeholders. You have already maybe governed in multiple projects, resolve already cross program conflicts, or delivered strategic outcomes. We already, as senior professionals, I'm going to talk about myself. We already, I've been working in that, aspect most of the time. So, the more you relate the concepts to your own experience, the more meaningful and it becomes more enjoyable. And, then it becomes part of your journey. So, I'm going to encourage everyone to remember that earning PGMP isn't a finish line. It is the beginning of new stage in your leadership journey. Uh, you know, the real value it lies not only adding, those 3 or 4 letters in your resume, but applying those principles, and you'll be in a position to ensure there's a strategic alignment. You'll be coming up with a rational. So the peers, the project managers, they'll be coming to you. The executive leadership, they'll be looking at you. So it's all about creating a lasting business outcome. I do wish everyone pursuing PGMP on the very best on this journey at the end. And Tuba has been really helpful. I still remember Tuba back in, when I was doing my mocks, the explanations were there. I was doing some of the questions wrong, the explanations were there, and I was still thinking that this is the wrong answer. And then Tuba used to step in and she used to explain me, okay, this is the reason that, this your approach is, not correct in this regard. So that helped a lot. And I think when we move forward, we cover more modules, we get to know a lot more, and it helps. So understanding, I think, is the key rather than memorization.
100%. Thank you so much for this useful piece of advice. And 100%, be it PMI or even it's a non-PMI thing, but like it's like uh, for the matter of your professional growth or so, memorization is never going to help. So it's not about memorization. Like, it's not a college or university course that with memorization you are going to succeed. And success is not only about passing it, it's also about, adding value to your life, to your professional growth and all. So this is the real value of doing these credentials. Right? So if you think that these credentials may add value, like everybody should have a definition of value for themselves. So if they may add value, you should be going for that. And if you are just doing it for the sake of doing it, or you are doing it because a colleague or a cousin or a friend has done that, or maybe they are doing it so this is the reason why you are doing it, then probably you need to reconsider your decision. So thank you so much, Arslan, for this useful conversation. Now we are going to do the question answer session with the audience. I may take the questions right away as well. You guys may unmute yourself and may ask your questions. But before that, I'm seeing a couple of queries in the comment area. Let's first get those answered. Then if there are further questions, we may take that directly. So Mia Mohammed Atif has placed two queries. The first one is, someone was telling me that even a bottle of water is not allowed during the exam. Yes, this is correct. So Arslan, if you want to take this
Yep.
question.
So Mia, I think, yeah, so in most of the cases, yes, you are correct. So what I did generally, so again, thank you, Tuba, for guiding me a day before the exam. Tuba advised me, it is always because, I wanted to have water bottle, as I mentioned, and I wanted to wash my face, 3 times because knowing that I did my PMP and I mentioned that there's a break in between. So you get sort of a relaxation for maybe 10 or 20 minutes, somewhere there. I don't recall the exact time because it's been 5 years since I did my PMP, but you get a break in between to freshen up yourself. In this case, they were only, directly 4 hours. So I called the center where the exam was being placed, and this is as per Tuba's advice. So I called them and I explained to them that I would like to have a water bottle, and if it's just a request you could make, and they luckily they allowed me. So I think I'm grateful to the exam center for allowing me. And when I went there, they also mentioned that this is not allowed, but we have created an exception because you put in a request. So this is what happened in my case.
So
Generally,
yes,
you are correct. It's, yeah,
yeah,
it's not allowed, but it's a discretion. I think it's more for discretion.
it's as per the process by PMI, this is not allowed. Having anything to eat, literally anything to eat, anything to drink,
Mm.
even if it is water, in the exam room, this is not allowed. But it's at the. I think they have put it at the discretion of centers now. If the center they allow you, you may take it. If they don't allow you, there's no way you can take it with you, right? So it
Mm.
depends. It varies from center to center because I have heard this comment from some other centers where the other delegates wrote their exam in Pakistan that they refused to accommodate this request
Mm.
for them. And that delegate also went for PgMP and one other went for PFMP. So they refused. That other center refused to accommodate this request. So it varies from center to center. But yes, I personally believe that having this conversation on the day of exam, a couple of minutes before the exam, is not going to be fruitful. If you really would like to have this accommodated, maybe have this conversation some days ago with the center in a more, you know, in a more formal way rather in a casual way, just uh, uh, before starting the exam. Definitely that way they are not going to entertain this. Okay, so the other question by Atif is, for PMP, the perception is that the practical experience should be set aside and our responses in the exam should be based on what the PM box says. Does the standard for program management hold the same importance in case of PGM? Asan, would you like to take this?
Sorry, Tuba. So the also for sorry, I missed the second question. So PMP. Um, sorry, I'm just reading the question. So PMP, the perception. Um, I think the practical experience is going to is it is going to be relevant. It is not something that is going to be irrelevant. But again, we want to make sure that we follow the PMI's expectation. Rather it be PMP or PGMP. In real world cases, there are different scenarios, and PMI actually helps us to, by having that mindset as per their expectation, to, to resolve the issues. Rather it be, for example, risk management. So the PMI expectation is, we want to make sure we first of all we identify the risk. So like these sort of things. So having a PMI mindset, it actually helps. Real world scenarios are going to be different in each and every project, in each and every program, and having that mindset and having that understanding, it helps in that journey. So to answer your question, the experience helps, but again, having the PMI mindset helps you to overcome any challenges or complexity that come along the way.
Thank you for the response, and I would like to add something to this particular question as well. See, Atif, it's not about keeping your experience aside, even in the PMP exam, right? Let me first correct this perception. PMI doesn't expect you to keep your experience aside. They expect you to bridge your experience with the PMI mindset, be it for PMP, be it for PgMP, be it for ACP, be it for PFMP, or as a matter of fact, any credential that you talk about in the PMI capacity. And in fact, every other standard expects you to do the same because they have kept eligibility criteria in place for the reason that they want experienced professional to go for it. So they can't expect you to keep your experience aside. They expect you to follow the best practices even in your organizational setup. But I understand that practically this is not possible for every organization to, as it is follow the PMI or any other standard. However, in the exam, the expectation is that the real life examples should be mapped with the PMI mindset for program
Yes.
management. And in the application as well, this is the exact reason why applications get rejected. Uh, Even for PFP and in PGMP, this is very common because the delegates they do not keep this particular aspect in consideration that PMI wants you to map your program management or project management experience as per their mindset. They do not want to write something which has never happened in reality. They do not want to fake it out. They want you to write the real life projects and programs, but at the same time, they want to write it in a way that PMI uh, promotes the idea of program management or project management. Right? It's a standard. It's a mindset. They never say that you do not come, handful of project management or program management experience. They actually ask for that, but at the same time, they ask you to learn it in a way that you make your practices better in the organization with this PMI learning. This is the expectation. Right? So I hope this is clear now. Yes, in the exam, in case of PGMP as well, expect you to learn the PMI mindset for program management first. This is the first expectation. And ask Arslan or any delegate of ours, we never allow anyone to directly jump to mocks. We never allow anyone to directly go to the practice test. This is highly not recommended in our case, right? The recommendation is that first learn the mindset via videos, via discussions, via slides, via trainings, whichever mode you are opting for, and then go for practice. Directly going for practice is going to lead you to nowhere. What are you really practicing when you only have brought your experience, which could be different than what PMI promotes? First, you need to learn what PMI promotes. Then you need to understand how your organization fits in there. If it doesn't fit in there, you map it in a way that it starts fitting in. Then you go to the mock practice. And only this way you will be leading your journey in the right direction for with respect to the exam, right? And with respect to the application as well. I hope we have tried to answer this question, me and Arslan both. Okay, one more question from Obad is, okay, exam is similar to level 3 or level 4 or something more difficult. So those who have who are not understanding what is level 3 or level 4, it's like two advanced levels of practice test offered by on-time training. And Ubaid is like our delegate who is actively preparing for PGMP, and as Arslan has already done with that, so they both can understand that what is being asked about over here. So Arslan, I would like you to answer this question.
I think level three is primarily on the benefits, and level three and level four, they are the advanced questions. And I'll be very honest. I think the overall PGMP exam is challenging. So the more we understand, advanced level questions, again, having that mindset, why, we are taking that strategic decision in terms of the correct answer, is going to help the exam. So I think as long as we score well in three or four, in the mocks, again, in all of the mocks, including level three and four, it is going to help in the exam. Um,
But
yeah,
saying that the same or even similar
saying
questions are going to be there in the exam, the answer is no.
si- yeah, we won't get similar questions. That is, I learned, I did my mocks multiple times, and I'm still saying the exam was quite challenging. It wasn't straightforward. So we won't get any questions that are in the mocks in the exam. They're going to be entirely different questions. Scenario based, we also gonna get questions that would have select multiple options. Things like that. So exam questions are going to be entirely different.
But the purpose of the mocks offered by us at OTTC is that
They
you
help you a
get
lot.
that, yes, you develop that thought process that with any question in front of you and you are able to
Yeah,
answer that. This is the purpose of
yeah.
mocks, right?
And
Mocks
I
give
think
you, yeah, that confidence that you are, it, of course, it depends on multiple factors, the number of times you have attempted those, the scores that you have
mm,
achieved? Have you been connected uh, like with the mocks and practice and learning part throughout this journey, or have you taken like a break of a couple of months or so? If that's going to be the case, then probably your even the mocks are not going to be helpful. Probably you need to go back to restart the learning part or revise the learning part. So multiple factors come into picture. However, only expecting that you get the mocks and you are going to practice that and same similar questions are going to be there in the exam, this is going to be unethical. This is not going to be even, legally correct. This is a non-professional and
in
unethical. Yes, Arslan, please.
Yeah, I just wanted to add. So in my case, when I was doing the mocks, I still remember, Tuba, you asked me to, when I did my first mocks, so the questions that I did wrong, I used to ask Tuba for some of the questions that I still felt that, I'm right, and the questions that the explanation that is there could be wrong. Then Tuba used to step in and, used to explain why, it is wrong. The way I'm thinking is not correct. So that's one thing. We want to learn why the questions are wrong. So as long as we understand why, we want to think strategically. It helps a lot. And secondly, I was also advised to go through some of the chapters again, the modules again, and I think that also helped a lot. So instead of focusing on getting the questions done again and again, I think it's not going to lead anywhere. As long as we have that mindset, we understand how to solve problems, or how we are thinking strategically. That is going to help anywhere, in the questions in the real world. So I think having that mindset and understanding it properly would help. And mocks, they help to equip you, to test your critique, your rationale behind the situation that is there.
And I still can recall that in the initial few mocks, the first cycle, this happened with Arsalan. So I'm putting this example. He
Yeah,
didn't get the required score, and he was very worried about that thing that he
yeah,
probably was not doing good or this is not going anywhere. So I actually jumped in and I told him that this is exactly how it happens with every other delegate because PGMP mindset and the exam overall. And accordingly, the mocks have been devised in a way that you get that exam feeder, but in a way that we do not compromise any of the PMI's expectation and code of ethics and all. So rather getting demotivated with your own self, try to understand that what's not working, perform root cause analysis, and whatever you are not understanding, whatever you are getting wrong in the questions and you are not still not understanding, have that discussion with me, because this is exactly why you have a mentor. So this happens with everyone. This is a slow progression, and you have a mentor for the same reason, that wherever you are not on track or your journey is not leading in the right direction, you go to the help to that person, right? Whoever your mentor is, but you need to have a mentor for a journey like PGM, right? Usually people go for mentors for this type of exam or preparation for this, and he exactly did that, and you can see the result. He eventually is here, right? He didn't lose consistency, he didn't lose focus, no matter what was the case. He got demotivated, but he restored his
Right.
morale very soon, right? So demotivation is not the solution. We need to talk about the solution, and before that we need to talk about the causes, right? What is causing your demotivation? So this is how it works in our course, and this should be the case in our credential
And I
like
think,
PGMP. Yes,
Tuba, one
Arslan.
thing I wanted to add is I think, and it's good that if you're not scoring in any of the module, it is actually a good thing because the course is designed in such a way that is going to test your ability. So if you're not, if you're not scoring well, we can always, relearn or, look at the missing aspects as to why, what could be done differently, in order to, or maybe if there's an understanding gap, get in touch with Tuba, so as long as we revisit why, we didn't score well and work towards the solution, it helps. And this was the case, I think, with couple of the modules that I did. When I was doing the exam, I didn't score well. I mean, the marks, and I had to, then I spoke with Tuba, and she recommended me to, go through the slides and the videos again. And uh, even before doing that, she said the next time you're gonna give the exam, you're gonna score pretty good. And this is exactly what happened. I scored pretty good. And the best thing is you don't remember the marks. So let's say you have done the entire set of mocks and you go back and let's say you reading benefit sustainment or benefit management, and you do the mocks, you wouldn't memorize, you wouldn't have you wouldn't recall the same questions, and again you're gonna, but you will score well as long as, I think the second time helps a lot. So this
Yeah,
is
because
where
I still can recall that Arsalan asked me this question at Tuba, if I'm going to do the second cycle of the same mouse, am I not going to, would I not be knowing the answers to the questions already? So I said, no, I have planned all of this in a way
yeah,
that you definitely are going to forget the answers. And then
yeah,
when you are going to redo that, your concepts would be better, you would feel strengthened, and you would
yeah,
score well as well. Not because you know the answer, but because you know the concept better than before. So
yeah,
yes, we had this conversation, and as this is our day in day out thing, so we know that what different strategies work for most of the delegates. So this is how we have designed this course. So, anyways, the purpose of having this conversation is that you learn from the experience of Arsalan, and he has one other thing that I would really appreciate about him is that he religiously followed my advices. He didn't
mhm, yeah,
even disappoint me at any single point. And I'm not, I'm not praising myself with this comment. I am just saying that we are a provider, and we are considered as mentor in this field for a reason, and the reason is that we know what works and what doesn't work in this particular area. So if you have hired someone, just trust their advice and trust the process as well. This is like an advice from my side, that if you're coming to a person as like, and you're considering them as a mentor for any area, you're not only for PGMP, then please trust that person, because they know how to make it work for you, right? On this note, I would conclude this conversation. If anybody has any other question for me or for Arslan, just feel free to unmute yourself and ask your question. Because we are done with our part of conversation. We are here to answer your queries. If any query is unanswered, just please feel free to ask. Anybody would like to ask anything from Arslan or from me with respect to PGMP? Okay, great. I think we have done a really powerful conversation, Arslan. Thank you so much for this. I really thoroughly enjoyed this conversation. I hope that participants must have enjoyed this useful talk. We will be back very soon with a new PGMP delegate and their success story. If you are interested in enrolling with us and you would like to have a conversation with us about our course, feel free to connect with me directly. The communication channels have already been shared with you. I will be back very soon. Thank you so much, Arslan. Thank you so much, everyone, for joining us. Have a good night.
Yeah. Thank you for having me. Thank you.
Bye,
Bye.
Arslan. Bye, everyone.